You're learning to walk right now. And it's kind of wild how we pretty much had to baby-proof our whole house. Because if you make one little wobble, like it could be dangerous. When Dad came home for dinner, it was very leave it to Beaver, like, your father's home, let's go greet him. I always have had this foresight of this whole thing is temporary. Am I the only one who sees this?
Hi, I'm Tony Cooper. This is the Dad Manual Podcast, and I'm here today with one of my favorite dads. You are Koa and Summer's dad. Will you please introduce yourself?
My name is Blake Fly. I'm a great dad, and I have some wisdom to share.
Yeah. So lots of cool stuff for us to talk about. Blake, I want to hear about your kids, but what it's intriguing me about our conversation is that you and I do somewhat similar things for a living. You know, people pay us to sort of motivate them, coach them, inspire them. And we both have taken our fathering experience seriously enough that we wanted to really be in relationship with other fathers and impact them in a particular way. So I want to start there. And will you start just explaining the work you do from like your speaking and coaching part of your business?
Yeah, if people were to sort of follow me around for a month, a lot of my world is as a professional speaker. And so whether that's virtual or in person, I'm traveling around presenting to teams, companies, organizations, schools, and really those presentations always revolve around one main thing, which is, hey, what are some creative ways to connect with the humans in our life, people that we work with, people that we're in school with, experiences with. And really, at the end of the day, it's people are kind of the most powerful part of life. So what if we just added a touch more intention to how we're doing the peopling thing on a daily basis? And then in my coaching world, sometimes that means I'm having conversations with leaders around those themes. Other times it's helping people remain accountable to accomplish some of their goals, including myself, like building these cohorts of people to get important work done in their business. And then lastly, it's working with a community of dads where we're kind of just a crew of dudes trying to figure out dad life as we go. And ideally we are creating some moments and meaningful experiences and capturing it using technology so that when we're 88 in rocking chairs or with bionic limbs, we can go back to those things and we can share it with our children.
Yeah, I love that. It's easy, especially when you have kids early on. Like it's a lot of it's survival mode. So you're not even thinking about relics or things you want to leave behind, but you're just like, how do I get through this moment and what's about to come next? And I really do love that you've dug into legacy, and my interpretation of it is not so much legacy where people talk about like what's the impact or difference I'm making in the world, but it's like that theme that you started with in your public speaking is really about connection and human connection. In the Dad Project, there's that lasting connection that gets created by leaving a trail or remnants of our thoughts, our ideas. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, I mean, when I became a dad, that was in 2020. So like it was peak pandemic, lockdown, all that jazz. And I was like, whoa, there's a lot of macro changes while there's some household changes. And I've always been a really sentimental dude. So that's a useful piece of context. I've always been that guy. Like graduating high school, I was going, wait, like, but we're not going to be at the same lockers tomorrow. Oh my gosh. Like that was always kind of my wiring. But when I became a dad, I wanted to create some sort of structure or like a forcing function that would help me presence myself to the journey, knowing that word on the street was like, it was going to be foggy and wild. And like, you're not even going to know your name, brother. Like, good luck. So once a month, I gathered on Zoom with a few dad friends and we recorded video messages or audio messages into our phone, speaking directly to our kids about like what was happening in this sort of month of their life or our life. And we call it a forever folder, and we keep populating the forever folder month after month. I mean, you could technically give it to your kid whenever, but the main goal is when I die, the forever folder is a leave behind for my kids. And it's like an accountability group of other dads to hopefully do the same. But the catch is it's not so much a gift for our kids. It's a presencing practice for us as dads.
What's the focus then? So it could be a lot of things. It could be, this is the story of your life, kid. It could be like, this is just my thoughts could be like, this is wisdom I'm imparting. Is there any particular focus that you and the other dads land on?
I mean, it's a massively daunting task to be like, hey, just make a quick audio so that when you're dead, your kid can listen to it. Like, that is
That's
a
all.
pretty wild task. So the key piece is less is more. Like, my role is, hey, let's bring this down. Like, let's just bring this down.
Mm,
It's like, let's just say a thing instead of not say a thing so that our kid can hear it someday from us. And so usually my role is to facilitate that brainstorming and kind of get that top of mind for the dads. And so some examples might be, okay, we're going to take 5 minutes, scroll through the photos on your phone from the last few weeks, and just sort of jot down like some moments that strike you or stand out or that you thought, yeah, that one I want to sort of recall. So that's an approach. Another one might be, what is something that you are struggling with right now in dad life, or something that's just so cool right now and is sort of a fleeting season. And then it might be, okay, speak to that. But a typical video or a voice note might just be, what is a moment or a memory from the last few weeks that you think would be neat to just capture for you and for your child. And an example might be, hey, you're learning to walk right now. And it's kind of wild how we pretty much had to baby proof our whole house. Because if you make one little wobble, like, it could be dangerous, but a few months from now, that won't be a thing. And like, you're going to be walking around here. Or it might be, hey, you are starting school in like an hour.
mm,
And here's what's going on for me
mhm,
as your dad. And I just wanted to sort of tell you my hopes or desires or goals, not for you to achieve, but just I'm so excited for you. And I want to name that. And you'll hear this someday, perhaps.
mhm.
Or maybe it's a simple thing like, I remember one time when we were trying to get our little guy to learn how to use the bathroom, I took like the weekend approach of, okay, we'll take a weekend and we'll try and figure this thing out. And my wife said, like, hey, you're way more patient at this stuff than I am. And she's got her skills and I got mine. So it was me and our son for the weekend. And I just kind of follow him around in case he had to go to the bathroom. And I made a recording on audio that weekend of like, hey, Koa, you know what we're doing right now this weekend? And I just like sort of narrated what we were doing that weekend.
Yeah,
And now when I listen to it from 4 years ago,
yeah,
it's so hilarious and funny and like hundreds of skills ago that he's now figured out.
right. And I'm imagining when you do that in community, certain themes pop up, and that also what strengthens the community and the bond. And I know you said accountability is a good reason to have community around you, but there's also it's a way of normalizing experiences. So how does that show up in
Yeah.
the group? What do you call the group, by the way?
Dad's making history.
That's making history. Yeah.
Well, for example, one of the calls, I didn't see this coming, but I guess it's not really surprising. But the guys were like, hey, this ritual is cool and all, but like, I just kind of want to hang out with other dads
Mhm.
also. So we would do the ritual and then we kind of just linger on Zoom a lot of the time and just sort of share some updates of what's up in your world.
Right.
And one of the dads on one of these calls at the time, his daughter, I think, was maybe 3. And he just shared, he's like, hey, I've just kind of been doing something called donut dates. He lives near a donut shop.
Mhm.
And so once a week, he would go with his daughter to this little donut shop and they'd just like have a juice or like have a snack or a little treat or something. He just like said it in 30 seconds. One of the other dads on that, it just to him felt revolutionary because he had not yet set up some kind of ritual like that.
Right.
So that was probably 3 years ago. And now that one other dad, I'd say 2 or 3 times a month has gone with his daughter somewhere meaningful and intentional for like a daddy daughter date. And this isn't rocket science, but it just sort of came through for another dad because one guy said donut days or whatever he called it. And that was sort of a normalization moment of at that stage, the dad was mentioning like it was really helpful to his wife to just kind of have a couple hours to just
Yeah.
catch her breath. And instead of him just sort of filling time, he's like, sweet, I'll make like a neat thing
Mhm.
in that time when it's just her and I, daddy, daughter. And like a bunch of guys got real insight from that, including myself, even though it was kind of a throwaway comment for dad of like, yeah, I do these like donut date
Mhm.
things.
Mhm.
Anyway, moving on.
And the beautiful part about that is it actually kind of is like rocket science from a fathering perspective, meaning it is the thing that really will create the biggest leverage, the biggest impact. And just the fact
Mm.
that it seems like it's a throwaway, is even more of a beauty of it. I definitely, I started daddy daughter days with my daughter when she was 7 or 8 or something like that.
Mm.
And I mean, we did it all the way through college, and it's the greatest. It's like that for my daughter, and then coaching my son's little league and baseball. I wound up coaching his baseball all through high school.
Mm.
There's something about that pulling kids apart and the one-on-one
Yeah.
connection. Like you say, it's a huge relief to your wife. She's like, okay,
Mm.
like, oh my God, like there's a moment where I don't have to be mom. Like, what a huge
Yeah.
gift. Like, it really delivers on so many levels. There's so many like mommy groups and so many ways that they say like it takes a village. It's like, yeah, but
Yeah.
it's usually all the women. The men don't really come together in any sort of way. So I love that you have that. And of course, the dads in the group love it, because why wouldn't we? We want community. We're making it all up, and it's nice that we don't have to
Yeah.
do it all ourselves. But, men don't typically have that asking for help kind of way of going about the world. So it's
Right.
really wonderful what you've created, Blake.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
I was struck when you said that you were the sentimental kid, like when you're graduating high school. And my son just graduated from college like 2 weeks ago. And we were up there
Whoa.
when he finished, and he was like deeply sad, like
Mm.
emotional and sad, and really feeling it, like feeling that loss. But I did not have that experience when I graduated college, but like it's how he's wired. So I'm just connecting that to you, like the sentimental nature that you have, and that a lot of your work just focus around human connection. So those themes, like where does that come from for you? Like where did that all become such an important part of what you do in your life?
An insight just struck me. I've never really thought of this. So here goes real time
Yeah.
Blake therapy. But so I'm the youngest of three. That was my family of origin and our family picture when I was growing up. I'm still the youngest of three. And I think one experience that was just constant for me was I would see my older sister and older brother, and we got along great. Like I loved them a lot, but there was a bit of an age gap. So I'd always sort of be like the observer of my like big sister, big brother. I would often notice like when they were on to the next thing. Like if my brother was sort of at the next level of a sport that I was like nowhere near, or if one of them started high school and then they were no longer going to the same school as me, or if one of them got married, and like my brother, he got married and he traveled the globe with his wife for years. And I was like, have a good trip. And I was like 17 at the time. So
Yeah.
I would just see all these kind of departures, meaningful ones, just part of life. But I was the one just kind of hanging out saying, see you later. And so
At
I
the
kind of
dock
had
while
this,
the cruise ship's like heading out to sea.
yeah.
You're like, oh my gosh. Yeah.
And it's sort of like, I don't know your relationship to this, Tony, but let's take like a party or something. There's people that want to get out of there early. It's like, let's get out of here. Then there's the people that just really want to linger and like get all of it.
Mm.
I'm a linger guy. Like I love just staying till the end. I hate when someone at a great dinner, for example, is first to get up from the table. I'm like, oh, someone got up from the table. It's over now. So I think these were just some of the little breadcrumbs growing up that were in my ethos.
Yeah.
But then in school, I would notice, especially end of high school, end of college, people were just so focused on grades, as they should have been. Grades, they're important. But I'm like, hey, like guys, yes, grades, but this literally ends in like 3 months,
Mm.
1 month, 3 weeks. This ends in a week. Like I sort of felt as I always have had this foresight of this is temporary. Like this whole thing is temporary.
This
Am
whole
I the
thing.
only one who sees this? And then at college graduation, like literally the era your son is in right this minute,
Mhm.
my first career was actually working at the same university that I was a student in. So I stayed there for a few years professionally. And a lot of my friends started to visit or like phone me or whatever. And they're like, yo, you're still there. That's amazing. Like it is so different now. So just take it in, man. It's so cool that you're still there. And to them, it was like this surprise. To me, I already knew that. I knew that things were going to shift. I knew that we were in a sweet spot during campus life.
Yeah.
And so I've always done my best to sort of capture it, whether that be journaling or photos or videos to myself of like, hey, what's up? I'm about to graduate in like an hour and I'm going to go to my last exam and I hope I don't fail it. I've always been that way, but now I've attempted to purpose it professionally and personally
Mhm.
because frankly, it just kind of organizes my life experience for myself. And I noticed that there's a lot of people that have commented, hey, I'd like to do that too. I just kind of forget or I get busy. And that's
Right.
super valid because
Right.
none of this stuff is urgent.
Boy, if you want to prove the theory that this is all temporary, yeah, become a dad, especially when they're young. And I get how you've taken that from a personal practice to implemented it in your family and then shared it with other dads because it's such a great reminder. And that's why presence is really the biggest antidote to life passing you by. Like if you're not paying attention, of course it's going to pass you by. And I love that you're present enough to want to record what you're present to so that it's something in the future that it's there for your kids. It's interesting. My parents are in their late 80s right now.
Mm.
So one set of grandparents lived into their mid 90s. So, it's possible that I have them for another 5 or something years, but I don't know. I mean, they've
Yeah.
been aging pretty rapidly right recently. And
Mm.
my birthday just a couple months ago, they called me on my birthday and left a message. I wasn't available and they called. And I usually just delete all my voice messages, but I was like, I think I want to keep this one.
Mm.
Like, and it's nothing other
Mm.
than just like a hey, wishing you a happy birthday. But it's them, it's their voice, it's the way they are together. So I really connect to the work that you're doing and the legacy that you're leaving for your kids. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the goal. And it's again very selfish on my part because I know without accountability, I won't do these things. Like I won't. So I want those structures and those rituals in place with other people, even if it's just one other person,
Yeah.
so that it happens. And what you're describing about the voice message from your parents on your birthday, I'm fascinated by the fact that I feel like at the start of a season or at the start of a life, let's say, like as a dad, we're hyper present to things like, whoa, so many firsts.
Mhm.
It's easy to document and track the first, like
Mhm.
first step, first word, but it's coming and we know it's coming. We're like ready. So we document the firsts. And then there's sort of this like messy attempt to document the lasts, like the end of a lifetime or the end of an era in our
Mhm.
life, and we never know when it's coming, especially if it's related to mortality. So who knows if we capture it. But then the middle, we capture the first, we hope to capture the last. Then there's this middle, like
Right.
usually like a 60-year run if we're
Right.
lucky. And we're just kind of middling. So I like the idea of what is sort of this magic in the mundane and in that middle section of life where, especially for dads, hopefully you get the gift of just the mega pressure of like you're raising kids and you're watching parents have increased needs. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah. Another thing I really like about the project is one of the exercises I like to do, especially here in the summer in Sacramento, is swim. I've always swam my whole life, but I never like swim laps. Like I never did it as
Yeah.
exercise. And so it's just something now that we moved to where we live in Sacramento. We have a pool. It's fantastic. And so I swim
Mhm.
laps. And
Cool.
it's a lot. I don't have music or anything like that. So I count laps as a meditation, right? To know how many I am. And then I started giving myself the exercise to go like, okay, for each lap, like let's say it's 7, what can I remember about that year of my life? And I'm up to like
Cool.
20, 30, whatever. And here's the
Huh.
fucked up part. There are entire years where I'm like, I can't, I mean, nothing,
Yeah.
nothing comes to mind. And you kind of go,
Wow.
that's a lot of living. It's a lot of
Yeah.
life that goes by in one lap of the pool where I can't really anchor on any one thing. And it's obviously lots happen. They happen every day, but I'm not
Yeah.
recording it or noticing it in any sort of way that it stays with me. And so like what you're talking
Mm.
about, that middle section, it could be a big blur. Like I remember that trip to Mexico, or I remember that birthday or something, but like what about the
Yeah.
330 other days of that year? You're like,
Right.
so how often what's the frequency that you and the group record?
Well, the group kind of goes in sort of cohorts. So sometimes we're like, hey, let's do a 6-month run together. Other times it just sort of remains like a casual WhatsApp conversation. But the goal is like a monthly message.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 or 3 minutes max. Like that's kind of the lingo, like mini monthly message. That's the
Mm-hmm,
goal.
mm-hmm.
Just a little thought, a little like wisp of an insight
Yeah.
monthly, and then it just populates over time. And what you're saying even about swimming laps and how entire years there's like not much coming back. I love to think of what are the ways we can sort of hook back into that time of our life. And for me, it's usually I find like teachers, it's like, oh, grade 3, Mr. Page, got it. Like as soon as I
Yeah.
go back that way, there's sort of these doors into more specificity, but without that kind of prompting, it's like, I don't know, there was high school, there was that, and then I had a job. So
Yeah.
I like the exercise of how can we sort of stay sharp and remember these things,
Mm-hmm.
but also grace in what gets forgotten. And like as an example, I took a lot of pictures during university, and I remember I had a Dell desktop computer all through university. And then I moved home after for a summer, and I had my computer kind of in like the basement at my parents' place. And my dad, he was actually renovating an office space that summer, and he got all new computers. So he got rid of all the old ones. And all the old ones were black desktop computers. So one day, just on a trip to like a donation center, he just scooped up like the 10 black desktop computers. Didn't know one of them was mine, and I didn't label it or anything. So gone. Like
All the
I
photos on your
didn't
hard drive.
have it backed up, nothing. Just 4 years of university photography, videos, all the like nonsense gone.
Wow.
And there are days where I get crushed by like, oh my gosh, if I could just open those folders and just what would come rushing back.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's the next day where I go, okay, well, like there's not that I'd want to wish this on anyone, but if all your stuff like burned away in a fire, you just, well, that was out of your control.
Mm-hmm.
But it's when there's moments that maybe we like could have held on to something, or like could have remembered something, or could have cherished it in some way, but we didn't. I feel like sometimes that gets to be a little bit of a head game. I don't know where I went with that and why, but it's
Mm-hmm.
tough to remember stuff sometimes.
It is. And you know, the practice of just being present, whatever it is really just as a parent, just really just the most important aspect of it. And it's not even really about remembering. I mean, I find that it's easy to forget. I think that we were just designed to forget. Like that's just how it is. And like being there for it, I wonder how much it's actually for you versus them. Because I'm like, if I inherited from my parents, I'm just imagining, right? 50 years, right? Times once a month. So times 12. I mean, I doubt I would listen to most of it. I guarantee you that.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, you know, it also has a lot to do with the relationship that you have with your kids. And so having that as a touch point, you know, as like a rainy day, that's my bank that I can go to. And, you know, if I'm feeling I
Yeah.
miss you, I can just start listening to some things. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. And the thing I always thought of when I started this was, so like our daughter, her name is Summer. And I thought, wow, it'd be really cool if maybe Summer, when she's like in her 30s and maybe she's like going through a navigation point or a decision making season of life, and if there's like an audio message or a video message where she finds some comfort or confidence in some of those things that were said or were noted. That was kind of like the vision, like, wow, that'd be special. And then similar to what you're saying, I also had this thought of like, or she may never listen to a single one,
Right.
or she might be like, cool, dad. Like it's sort of like when parents like, I kept you these shoes and now they can be yours. And they're kind of like, wow, thanks. And
Yeah.
then like next day, donation box.
What, see this right here, right over my shoulder? There's like a little bronzed
Uh-huh.
baby shoe. That's my baby shoe that my parents had. Like maybe it was a thing when I was a kid. They bronzed it. It's on like a piece of marble. I was like, that's cool.
There you
Yeah, I
go.
have
There it is.
that.
So once I had that aha moment,
Yeah.
not that I thought like this is going to be the most profound gift ever for my
Right.
children. I never thought that, but once I had like the true realization of they literally might not listen to a single thing that
Right.
I've done for them, I had a peace about it, because again, like the whole thing was really, it's like, this is for me. This is so
Mhm.
that when I'm on a car ride 20 years into the future, I can just hit play on some of these things and I'm like listening to the sweet, tiny little voices of my now adult children.
Hmm.
And I'll just be like, wow, I'm super pumped that I have these for me.
Yeah, I mean, it might also be interesting to dole them out. Like, you're like, okay, they become parents. Like, here's the first year of your life. Here's all the stuff that was on my mind, and you just give a folder of 1 year, something along those lines, so it's relevant. Like that, they're like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm the age now that my dad was. That could be kind of an interesting thing
Right.
too, just from making comparisons between them.
Well, and it's similar with other relationships too. Like, let's say marriage, for example, sometimes on our dating anniversary for my wife and I, that's in June. We got married in August. But on the dating anniversary, I always kind of get like sentimental and stuff. What I'll do is I'll go back through all of my wife's Facebook photos from the year leading up to when we were dating,
Mm,
because that was the year that I was like spending hours just looking at pictures of her and being like, we're going to date. And like when you're in that like pursuit courtship mode.
yeah.
And so just going through those photos of the months leading up to dating, it like warps me right back there. I realize that sounds kind of creepy, but we did get married. But
Not
similarly on,
stalking if you get married. Is that what you're saying?
I guess so. But on the dad front, same thing. Like if I just go for a walk and listen to a 4-minute audio of that weekend that I was trying potty training with our son, whoa, it just
Mhm.
awakens this like part of my dad experience that otherwise I'm just like running another Tuesday.
Yeah. One of the things I'm also curious about is, so part of what you do for a living is you're a coach. And so,
Yeah.
how much do you see your coaching work come in to support you as you think about how you want to be a dad and how you want to father certain situations? And I know your kids are young, they're 4 and 5 right now. How much do you think that's already played a role? And how do you see it playing a more of a role as they start developing?
I mean, just to contextualize it, my coaching world, I wouldn't say it's like purebred, like coach. Like for me, it's sort of small business coaching and accountability cohorts and things like that. So
Hmm.
just wanted to note that. But I do think it's extremely relevant in the sense that I've come to realize that I do really well when I'm doing things in like bursts or seasons, or like I'm not a guy that can sort of do the 20-mile march every single day, metaphorically. Like I kind of need the carrots to chase everywhere, whether that be in fitness, in health, in business, and like I got to chase a carrot. So in parenting and in my dad life, I see that that's a thing where like how can I be present to the needs and sort of the inner workings of my kids in terms of I can already tell like our eldest, he's a pretty like diligent, studious little dude, more than I was. I wasn't some slacker, but like I kind of needed to gamify my world, and he's just pretty like self-starter. Our
Hmm.
daughter, I can already get a sense that she's like kind of a, oh, there goes a unicorn, and like we sort of gotta bring her back to the moment. And so I can see myself designing experiences or moments or having key conversations with them based on those things, but hopefully to kind of make it light and fun, for lack of a better term, like seasonal. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
this is who they are right now. This is what they need right now. And this may be the way that they are for life, or this might be the way that they are for a week. I don't know. So let's just take this kind of one hit at a time here.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you certainly strike me as a very conscientious dad, someone who, really cares and has put a lot into it. So, where did that come from for you? Like, when did that start to emerge? Was that like something as a kid? Or, your relationship with your dad? Like, where did your whole idea of fatherhood come from, and where did you start to see yourself as stepping into that?
Well, I think I was a weirdo because in my grade 8 yearbook where it said, what do you want to be when you grow up? I wrote in grade 8, I want to be a husband, a dad, and a Zamboni driver for the Toronto Maple Leafs. I think I told you that the first time
Yeah.
you and I met. I don't know, but that was
Right.
like,
Right. You're like, I've done everything but the Zamboni.
yeah. So I was an outlier in the
Yeah.
yearbook, that's for
Yeah.
sure.
But why was that so true for you? Like that idea of family, like it seems like it's very much a part of you. Like, do you remember it emerging?
Well, just to quote a wise philosopher, Vin Diesel in The Fast and the Furious once said that it's all about family. And then the villain in Fast and Furious 5, he's like, it's dangerous when people know your code because then you become vulnerable
Mm,
and your code is family. So
mm,
now I know your weaknesses,
mm,
said the villain.
mm.
So anyway, my code is very much like family. I've always been wired that way.
Yeah.
But I think to answer your question as to maybe why,
Mhm.
I'm close with both my parents still, and they're still alive and well, and it's great. But I was really close with my mom, probably because I spent so much time with her, and being the youngest, at eventually it was kind of like me and her a lot of the time, and my siblings were off doing their thing. And my mom has always been world class at just keeping up relationships. She's always really diligent with, she'd always be on the phone in the evening calling her friends. Like she kind of had like this sort of, okay, I'll call Melanie, then I'll call Joanne, then I'll call
Yeah.
Karen. And she'd like sit in the chair in the living room and she just like touch base with all the key people. And whenever we would come home from things that were, I guess, significant in some way, like maybe it was a big sports game or if we had a big test or something, in our house that I grew up in, you'd walk in the front door and then you'd like sort of see the upstairs with a walkway across into my parents' room. So my mom would make these signs that she would hang down from that floor. So you'd look up and see the sign. So it might be things like, congrats, graduate, like would be the sign. Or if my dad had like a big business thing, it might be like, way to go, honey, we're so proud of you. Like there was a lot of these signs that
Wow.
she'd make. And we'd have to make the signs a lot of the time. She's like, hey, your grandma's coming over, like let's make her a sign. Or oh, your dad did this thing at work and you don't understand it, but like it's really special, let's make him a sign. And a lot of times it was like, oh my god, like
Right.
how many signs do we have to freaking make? But I saw a lot of that, and I saw a lot of that, like, hey, let's acknowledge this moment
Uh-huh.
or this person and let's do it. And plus she was a teacher, so she was a teacher at my school, so I like saw her a lot, and she was a supply teacher, a substitute teacher, so she kind of had like the rock star factor of like, oh, Mrs. Fly is my teacher today, yeah, because she was like the music lady. And so I just saw her really like focused on making meaningful experiences.
Yeah.
And like the significant times in the calendar, there was pretty much always like a concert. So whether it be Christmas time or like graduation time, we kind of have to rally for music purposes. And the last thing, my dad, like they're really different, but also super similar. My dad was always a guy that like at the end of a school year, sometimes he'd like write a handwritten letter to our teachers just to sort of like thank them, but like a letter, not like a end of year card, like, hey, dear Mr. So and so. So that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
And my parents always volunteered a lot, but again, super distinct. Like my mom was sort of the bubblegum rainbows vibe, like happy go lucky. My dad, super short fuse. You
Mm.
don't want to piss him off. You don't want to cross that guy, but also like a classy guy, a gentleman, and kind of had the mouth of a sailor and the sense of humor of one as well. So
Mm.
like sometimes he'd say stuff, you're like, whoa, did you just like say that? But their combination was always super rooted in family. But especially my mom, like she was waving that banner hardcore and still does.
Yeah. So it sounds like you brought forth quite a bit of that into you being a parent. What did you intentionally leave behind?
Well, with my mom, she was always majorly positive. And something that I left behind is like, I think there was a long period where I only knew positive. Like whatever happened, I just instantly default to like, it's all good.
Hmm.
I didn't even have a chance to decide. It just auto lapsed into what? I just got T-boned and almost died. It's cool. I'm still here. That didn't actually happen, but like, just as an example. So I would like auto leap to positivity in
Yeah.
every single experience. And for myself, I guess, it served a purpose. But in relationships, especially like in marriage, that became an issue where I was just skipping over like real raw things that were important to my wife and in our relationship. And I'm like, what? It's all good.
Right.
So a
Yeah.
thing I've been working on consistently to leave behind is not to be full sunshine. It's like, hey, light and dark, high and low, and like
Hmm.
welcome it all, be present to it all, and still keep the eye on the prize, and it will be good, but
Hmm.
not skip the mud. So that's a thing on my mom's side. And then with my dad, again, super short temper, short fuse. He was never abusive or anything, but like you just didn't want to piss the guy off. You could tell, like, whoa, let's keep it tight
Hmm.
around dad.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then also one of his gifts in the world is he can kind of build anything from the ground up. Like he could find a patch of land and just build the house, wire it, plumb it, make it beautiful. Like he was a builder in his 20s and he was going to do that as a career, but did a different career. But on the weekends, he'd always build stuff. So every sort of extra moment, my dad was in what I call like Bob the Builder mode because he'd always be renovating or building something around our house or around our cottage, which was cool and
Yeah.
inspiring to see.
Yeah.
But one thing I've left behind is not renovations. Like I like those skills and I'd like to be better at that. But on weekends, dad was like building stuff,
Yeah.
extra hours, like it was building hours. Whereas me, I think I've maybe put a total of 20, 30, 40 hours of building stuff since I've been a dad. And I don't say that to be proud. It's just building hours for my dad with us. And we kind of help him around on the job site and stuff. I pretty much am like with our kids or with my wife and our kids. And I'm okay with that. And I'm excited about that. And I'm proud of that. Like, this is a lot of quantity and quality time just being with our kids and being in family mode instead of like, I got a bunch of stuff to do, figure it out. I'm going to be doing this because, like, in the week I work and on the weekend I got to do this stuff. So, those are some things that like add and subtract in terms of moving one generation to the next for me.
Yeah, well, for a person who in eighth grade publicly declared, I'm going to be a dad, what was it like when it actually happened? So, when Koa was born, do you remember what your experience was like and how that impacted you?
Yeah, I know we're moving towards the finale, so I'm about to crack open a whole new can of worms. But I'd say it kicked my ass
Yeah.
because not that I had expectations, but I'd say it kicked my ass in the sense that you sort of get everything you need when you become a parent, and the pandemic happening, that was already kind of messing with my professional head. Like
Hmm.
the business was taking a hit and I was not used to that. Like, oh boy, oh boy. So
Right.
I feel like I wasn't mentally my sharpest going into parenthood. And also, we had a miscarriage before our first child was born. And the miscarriage, I knew it was going to like be impactful, but I didn't expect it to kind of knock me right down. Like it just totally tanked me and my wife for sure. But I was totally surprised by just how much of a valley a miscarriage put me in.
Yeah.
And I went, oh, I think I underestimated the emotional toll of this. So when our son was born, between the pandemic piece, the miscarriage piece, I think I was just carrying some unexpected dark patches.
Yeah.
But again, if like kids bring you the things that you need, and to what I said moments ago, like, okay, if I had heavy on the light most of my life, all right, we're gonna balance it out hard
Yeah.
in this season. That being said, I also found parenthood very instinct. I could feel my instincts. At no point was I like, how do I parent? How to be a dad? Oh my gosh. The instincts I could feel kicking in as they needed to. But I just think my emotional range was opening big
Yeah.
in the pregnancy and in the
Yeah.
first year of fatherhood. And I was like, whoa, this expansion is visceral.
Not comfortable. Like comfortable, like
No.
I understand for you, comfortable with staying in the sunshine, staying in the it's all going to be great. And there's probably some sort of reservation or resistance to going into that darkness or seeing darkness as bad or something to
Yeah.
avoid. So children are the medicine that they give us for our own transformation, our own growth. So yours has been an emotional range, like increasing your emotional range so far.
Yeah. Big time. And also there isn't that run to daddy when he walks in the door experience I grew up with. Like as I said about my mom before, when dad came home for dinner, it was very Leave It to Beaver, like, your father's home, let's go greet him. That's different in our household, and not good or bad, but it's like, I think I had a lot of the bubblegum version of like family life going into it.
Right.
And there was a few key events right before fatherhood that made me go, oh, like it's not all sunshine. And I mean, that is the lesson that I've needed in this lifetime for sure.
Right. Yeah. And you're just a more complete human. I mean, that's the expanded, we are here to feel and experience everything that's available. And so, like, what a gift that you've gotten. It is one of those difficult things. You're like, yeah, we had to go through some very difficult things in order for me to get the thing that I needed.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So you've got 2 kids, 4 and 5, and a third on the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coming soon.
Coming soon.
At the time of this recording, it's about 5 months from now. Baby will arrive.
Yeah. So given that you've had this growth, you see yourself now differently, fathering differently, as you're looking forward to welcoming a new life into your family, what do you think is going to be different this time?
When our first child was born, and even our second, I was almost overextended on the family side. Like I hear a lot of men be like, oops, like I went all in on my career and I sort of like had to backpedal. I was the opposite. I think I almost overextended on, I'll never miss a moment. Like this is the double-edged sword of this like moment making, memory making kind of lens on life. But I was so in on like, I'm going to be there for all of it, that I think I took my foot off the gas on the professional side and like, I'll figure that out as we go. Whereas this time around, with the next baby on the way, it's going to be different because I'm excited to sort of go against my own tendencies, meaning I'm going to actively lean in more to the career side of Blake with the arrival of this child, because my sort of center point is family mode. It's the stretch is, all right, go be in the professional arena also. And when you run your own business, again, it's like a blessing and a curse. You can kind of tweak the settings to serve your own life, but if not mindful of the right settings, it could be like, ooh, wrong calculation over there. So with the next baby on the way, there's going to be more of a professional lean than with the arrival of the first two, and a confidence, a trust, a faith in, not that I'm going to be gone all the time, but a faith in like, we're a unit now. And even our current kids, they get to play a really cool role and like to leverage the power of a unit instead of like, oh, we're about to become parents. And Emily and I are like, okay, let's like figure it out. Like it's unit mode, family mode now, more than parents just running the hamster wheel as best as possible.
Yeah. How far apart are Koa and Summer?
17 months.
Yeah. Okay. So we're 18, same thing. And we're like, it
Yeah.
all just happened at once. And I just
Yeah.
imagined you go through, I really have no idea what I'm doing, like a deep phases of that until you start kind
Yeah.
of like, all right, I mean, I guess nobody does, but I kind of get it. And so
Right.
I just imagined that if the kid came along 5 years later, I'd be like, breeze. Like, and you have a whole family now. Like, we've got a unit that they're being
Yeah.
born into. So I'm really excited for you guys. It's great.
Yeah. Thank you. It's true. Like when they're so back to back,
Mm-hmm.
there's a lot of sweetness to just, oh, we're all in the pocket together. And now there's been some space. I'm excited to sort of see my updated version of fatherhood. Plus, I'm the third of 3. So I
Yeah.
think there's going to be a unique connection with me to this
Right.
child, just
Right.
given like birth order and such.
Absolutely. Man, thank you so much for having this conversation with me, with sharing all that and being on the podcast. I really appreciate you so much, Blake.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Are there any closers, or did we make it through the tunnel of fatherhood? This was so fun.
I think we got to where we got to for sure. I think we got it
Perfect.
super good and covered, and let's do it again, So I'm super happy.
Sweet.
I loved our conversation. It was so easy. And yeah, so much things that you've imparted. The sentimentality that you bring to fatherhood is something that's just really heartwarming. And I think, a lot of men can really stand to take on more of that.
Thank you so much, Tony.
You
This
bet.
was a lot of fun, and it's great to be surrounded by inspiring dads like you who have been on the track further than me. So hooray for that.
Hooray for that. All right. Well, until next time.
See you later.
I just want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Dad Manual Podcast and for supporting dads to become the best version of themselves as they strive to bring healing and inspiration to their families. I'm looking to grow a community of fathers who are ready to change the world, but I need your help. It's super valuable to the podcast when you like an episode, when you leave us a rating and subscribe to our YouTube channel, when you follow us on Instagram at the Dad Manual Podcast, and maybe even the most important, when you share the podcast with the dad you love. Also, you can impact what we talk about here. If you've got questions or topics you want me to explore, email them to me at dadmanualpodcast@gmail.com. I would love to answer your question on our next episode. And until next time, I'm Tony Cooper, and this is the Dad Manual Podcast.